All right. Hey, everybody. This is Dr. Nick Mouawad from McLaren Bay Region, and this is Hey, Bay City.
Dr. Nicholas Mouawad, I'm excited to talk to you today.
It's a pleasure to be here, Phil. Thank you so much.
Can we talk about the first time that we met?
Oh, yes, we can.
So, Gant, marketing director at McLaren. She's amazing.
Amazing.
Good friend of mine. She calls me up one day and she's, hey, Phil, I've got a crazy idea for you and we need your help. And I said, okay, I'm down. When Elena says, hey, got a crazy idea, you follow her.
Yeah, that's right.
And the whole idea was typically hospitals use stock photography and they go to the websites and they buy these really generic photo assets of doctors that obviously aren't doctors and nurses that obviously aren't nurses. What I really want to do is take great photos of our people and have you interview them. And what do you think about actually going into an OR and taking photos of our doctors at work? And I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And we're like 2 years into COVID at that point. So it was a little freaky, but I was like, oh man, this is going to be amazing. Over to McLaren with all my cameras and stuff. And like we get the lowdown before we go into the OR. Don't touch anything. Please do not touch anything. If you touch something, we're all screwed. Don't touch anything. So I'm super nervous. And I'm thinking, what's going through my head right now, because I've never been in an OR. I'm thinking every hospital drama, it's just chaos, pandemonium, people throwing stuff at each other, yelling, just like chaos.
Yeah, the drama is superb.
Yeah. And so I open up the door and I hear rap music. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And everybody's super chill, relaxed. And I'm thinking like, I don't want to do anything to screw them up. This is life or death stakes. And I come walking over to the table and there you are about ready to do this heart surgery. And you were so nice and friendly. And you go, hey, everybody, just go around and introduce yourself to Phil. And everybody said their name and what they did. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it's just so calm. It's so relaxed. And I'm going to tell you that was one of the most impressive experiences of this work so far. Because I walked in expecting just like people hanging on by a thread. But instead I walked into this room full of people who are masters of their craft, taking care of people, doing what they do every day. And I walked out of that room saying, this is exactly the kind of people that I would want taking care of me.
I appreciate you saying that. I think we definitely try our best. It is a controlled environment, but you have to be relaxed. That's not to say that it's not high stakes. It's very high stakes. We take everything very, very seriously. But if everybody's stressed out, then you really can't perform at the best of your ability. Right. So we try to keep everything nice and relaxed. We're completely aware of what exactly we're going to do. We're there to do one thing and one thing only. No surprises. Like I said, everything is very standardized. I don't allow any variability because we want to have the best outcomes. And that's how we do that. And everyone knows their place, knows what they want to do. And I'm happy to hear that. We're very welcoming. I think a lot of times things are portrayed in a very scary, ominous manner. Yeah. Oh my God, you're in the OR. Frankly, vascular surgery is actually very high risk. Every single type of surgery that I do is considered high risk surgery. And we treat it as such. But again, we treat it in a calm, collected, and very controlled environment.
Yeah, I love it. Obviously, calm, collected, and controlled doesn't translate well to TV drama and ratings.
Right, of course.
Like 20 straight minutes of everybody just hanging out and asking like, how are your kids in the middle of a heart surgery?
It's true.
Yeah, it doesn't equal great ratings. Oh,
you know what doesn't equal great ratings either is the very interesting gown that you have to wear and your interesting bouffant hat. There's no way out of that. I'm like, we end up looking relatively ridiculous with some of those hats that we have to place. Those are rules.
I think the second time I came to do photos with you, you had the bouffant on and stuff, and you were really like pressing Elena. Do I really have to wear that? I don't want to wear that. No. I want to look cool. Yeah. She's, but you would wear that in the OR. You're like, but I want to look cool. I want to look cool. And speaking of looking cool, the last time I saw that photo was in the recent announcement. You are one of Newsweek's top vascular surgeons in the United States. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you for that. That was a real honor. I'm truly humbled by that recognition. I was surprised. I actually had heard about it from a colleague of mine.
Really?
Yeah, it's an independent analysis. It's unsolicited. Yeah. And they did their own evaluation. And then they had selected Newsweek and Statista did their own analysis, looking at quality metrics, reviews, et cetera, and they had selected this. So I had no idea. It's not like you submitted your nomination or requested something. This was done completely independent of us, and we had no idea. Wow. I had no idea until it was actually published.
See, I'm glad that you said that, because at first I was also a little bit skeptical, because every once in a while you see those magazines.
Right.
And if you pay us $1,500 or $15,000, we will announce you as one of the best. And I looked into it too, and they were like, we go through statistics and we do all of those things, and then and I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, like I said, it was it was very humbling, and I'm really honored by that recognition. More importantly for me, the true honor is really to be able to take care of our community and be able to give them quality care, high level care, back at home. And instead of having them to travel, hours and hours and hours to some of the larger facilities or larger cities, the fact that we're able to offer that type of care with that type of quality and these kind of outcomes closer to home, I think benefits everybody, and most importantly, our patients and community.
One of the other things that's really impressive to me, it was, so I go into the OR and I'm taking photos of you. I want to say, is that photo up on the photo's up on this wall, I think, somewhere, because I just love that experience. And then I leave your OR and I'm talking to some of these other doctors in the hospital, and they all had so much respect for you as well. And that was impressive to me, because it's not just being a doctor, but here you had the respect of other surgeons in McLaren as well. Oh, this guy's legit.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate really their belief and support in me and their confidence in what we're able to do. Again, I'm just honored to be able to take care of people in their greatest time of need with their most precious asset, which is their health. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
How does the rap music come into play? Because I'm thinking like, okay, maybe classical, maybe a little bit jazz if you're feeling adventurous, but this was like straight up gangster rap that I walked in.
We switch it up. I think we try to give everybody an option in the OR so that everyone is happy. Of course, we can't let it distract us, obviously not, but whenever we get a chance, we change it up and switch it up. They play country. I learn a lot of new songs sometimes from my staff, some country, some of these new artists or whatever. And as a matter of fact, you bring that up. I'm a big fan of jazz. I like jazz, mushroom jazz. It's calming, and I'm a fan of that. But I like rap too.
Yeah, I love it. How did you, first, before we talk about how you got into medicine, where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Dubai. So
really?
I grew up in Dubai, and
what was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. I feel like I got the short end of the stick a little bit, because it's not like you see now. It was way different many years ago.
You don't have like gold-plated Lamborghinis with 4 tigers crawling out the windows.
Like they exist, but no, I did not get that. But it was nice. It was super hot. It was a great upbringing, and I really enjoyed it. Actually, my family, my parents still live there, between there and a small island called Bahrain. So we get to go back and visit over the summer and over Christmas and so forth. It's still near and dear to my heart.
Very cool.
And then I really got the opportunity to fly around and live in a lot of different places, North America, Europe, and obviously areas of the Middle East and Asia. So it was nice. Oh. Yeah, it was great. I really can't say enough about my upbringing. I really feel very fortunate with that. It was good.
How did this path towards medicine begin?
Yeah, I think earlier on I was a big fan of science. I'm very kind of concrete oriented. And I actually was very interested in chemistry, and I was going to do organic chemistry. And since I got really involved with the health sciences, I thought, hey, you know what? Why don't I look at medicine? I really, truly enjoyed it. I'm much more of like I said, a concrete type of a person that like to see things change directly in front of me. And moving towards the surgical disciplines, I think made a lot more sense for me.
But you're also like a very personable guy. Like you're friendly, you're always smiling. Everyone's like, oh, Nick, he's such a charmer. and so that's what I love about this path is you're saying, I'm concrete, I like facts, I like science. Yeah. But it's not like the book book nerd, kind of like I don't know how to talk to people. You're very charismatic. So I love this. You get the science part, but then you also get to double down on another strength where you're just a good dude.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think life is very important. I think there's so many things to see out here, out and about, and so many things to enjoy and experience. And when you see people, and sometimes they're most difficult times of need, and the last thing and the thing that you really don't want to see, particularly in some of their eyes, is a regret. So there's so many things to be able to enjoy, and I think people should enjoy that. And I believe that myself, but I agree. I'm a big science guy. Right. I like the hard facts.
Yeah. Nick Mouawad, the science guy. Where'd you go to medical school?
So I spent some time in Canada first, but then I went I lived 7 years in Dublin, Ireland. I went to, and it's true. Cool. And it's true. The Guinness does taste different.
Is it?
It does.
Is it better?
It's better. It's better. Yeah. I spent 7 years in Dublin, Ireland at the Royal College of Surgeons, and it was a fantastic experience. It was really some of the formative years, really got to meet a lot of people, travel a lot around Europe, see a lot of different cultures, see a lot of different languages, like really bask in a lot of that type of history. But I adored it. It was fantastic.
Wow. My twin brother's been to Ireland. He's got the Guinness.
What about the Jameson?
Yeah, he probably downed a bunch of Jameson too. Yeah, it's a funny story how he got there. I was working for him. He builds guitars here in Saginaw, and I was working for him at the time. And we got this message one day from Jason Momoa of Game of Thrones and
like the Jason.
Yeah, the Jason.
Like
Momoa.
the Aquaman Jason.
Yeah,
like
he's really unbeknownst to us, he's really into handmade things. He's all about makers, and if you make hats, he wants your hat and things like that. He's also into music, and so he sent us a message and was like, hey guys, just want to say I love your guitars. And we came up with this funny idea to like audition for his Netflix show. It's the one where Frontier. It's where he's like throwing hatchets and stuff. Right. And so we came up with this funny spoof video of us like fake auditioning for a show, and he sent it to him, posted it on Instagram. He's, that's so great. Can I buy one of your guitars? And Matt says, I'll give you one for free if you kill me on an episode of Frontier. And Jason says, what are you doing in July? And so Matt flies out to Ireland where they're filming this show, and they're filming it on this like castle. And so he's hanging out with Jason. They dress him up like a red coat. And there's this split second scene of Matt is up on the fortress, the castle, and he's got the rifle over the stones. And Jason throws his hatchet and knifes him.
No way.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. He got to go on that trip. I didn't get to go on that trip.
Have you ever been to Dublin?
No.
Oh, you got to go.
Is it awesome?
It's awesome.
Like, why is it awesome?
People are great. They're so lively.
Yeah.
The countryside's phenomenal. There's really so much history there. And it's just a great time.
Yeah.
I was actually back there in April for a couple of days.
Oh, really?
Which was
for fun or for work?
Actually, I was invited to be the guest speaker at one of their vascular conferences. So I got to go down there and catch up with a bunch of old friends. And it was...
The student has become the teacher over there.
No, wow. It just means I'm getting older is what it means.
Yeah, you got the gray in the beard.
Yeah, right.
Like, he can come back and speak.
But it was great.
I'm really intrigued by places that have old history. Yeah. Like there's such a culture there, and that's what really intrigues me. Like the stories that you get from simply a country being around for so long.
And you'll see that in a lot of the architecture. And there are places like it's like the first ever pub ever, or like the first ever. There's a lot of things that are like rather impactful and very dramatic. It's not just, this is something that just happened a couple of years ago, or this is a new fad or trend.
Yeah.
I mean, these are like really, really like historic things that go on.
Wow.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, I'm jealous of both my brother and you now. So thanks. Where do you go after Ireland?
After Dublin, I ended up moving to Michigan. I ended up coming here for some training. I lived in Ann Arbor, where I did I finished my general surgical training for a few years. And then after that, after spending 5 years and change in Ann Arbor, I went to, and yes, I'm going to say it, I went to The Ohio State University. I went to Columbus, Ohio. Yeah.
That's fine. You saw the error in your ways and you came back, so I won't hold it. I won't hold it against you. How was your experience in Ohio State?
It was great. Columbus was fantastic. It was a great training program. I loved the town. A lot of really good friends there. And actually, one of the guys that I met became a really good friend of mine who actually ended up coming up to Bay City.
Oh, really?
And it was because of him that I ended up coming here when I was done down in Columbus. And I decided to join him up at McLaren Bay Region.
Oh, awesome.
At that time.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's a win.
Yeah, it was a win.
Yeah, that's a win.
They were wins, W's.
What led you to become a vascular surgeon?
Vascular surgery is just such an interesting specialty. And it's not talked about a lot because a lot of times people talk about the heart or the brain. When you think about a vascular surgeon basically deals with blood vessels. We deal with every single blood vessel, basically from the base of the skull down to your tippy toe. What we don't deal with is the brain itself and the heart itself, but everything else we deal with. And it's such an interesting specialty because everything has a flow. Everything has a blood supply. And so whether it's the kidney or your spleen or your stomach or your gallbladder or your leg or your arm or your belly. And so I think the variety in vascular surgery makes it very interesting because not every day is the same. One day you're helping people deal with their strokes. The other day you're helping people deal with their gangrene. And the other day you're helping people deal with an aneurysm, which can be fatal. And in some days you're dealing with all three in the same day.
Oh, wow.
I think that kind of variety was what really attracted me to dealing with vascular surgery.
That's interesting because as somebody who doesn't know anything from anything, you're thinking like, okay, vascular surgery, probably something to do with the heart, and that's about it. But your point is everything in your body has a blood flow, which means that you're dealing with a lot of different things.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't just deal with blood flow to the organ, but also blood drainage, which is on the veins. So things that may be more not as high risk, let's say varicose veins, cosmetic things, we deal with that. Leg swelling, blood clots in the lungs, blood clots in the legs, all that. Any basically, it's like you're like a blood surgeon. Yeah. You deal with bleeding and clotting primarily, and it's great because there is more than one way to deal with a particular problem, and just as long as you can come up with a safe and durable solution, then that works.
Wow.
Also, with vascular surgery as a whole, it's a specialty where you really develop a strong rapport and relationship with your patients. Because not everybody needs an operation, so you can help them with medical management, make sure that they're doing well with their blood pressure meds and their cholesterol and their lifestyle changes and all that kind of stuff. In addition, there are ways to manage them with very minimally invasive type surgery, so what we call endovascular, and that's the term for minimally invasive stents and drills and rotor-rooters and balloons. And of course, there's maximally invasive operations, which are large resections where you have to replace things that are either infected or that are not working or that are dangerous. So I think there's a good variety.
I will tell you that when you said rotor-rooter, I had felt like a shudder in my body. I'm just like thinking like a plumber. Just
Technically speaking, we are technically healthcare plumbers because vascular surgeons deal with plumbing. If you have a clogged pipe, we fix it. We unclog it. We deal with the clot itself and remove it or replace it or put a new pipe in there, which is technically a stent.
Have you ever dressed up like Mario or Luigi for Halloween?
So
Because that sounds like a...
I'm a Mario fan.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
You see the latest Mario movie?
No.
The Mario and Luigi one with Chris Pratt. He plays the voice of Mario. You should watch it. I liked it.
I know. Got to play some Super Smash Brothers. Remember that?
Yes.
Great game.
I stalked your Facebook, and I don't even know if you know this, because if you go to your About section, it's almost completely blank, but there's a section like favorite quotes, and you have Ken from Street Fighters, like Shoryuken, and I was like, okay, we got games in common.
Street Fighter, man. That was a paradigm shift. That changed everything.
Favorite game of all time?
Ooh. GoldenEye. 007.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
GoldenEye is probably the best.
See, I was a Smash Brothers.
Dude, Smash Brothers, it's way up there. Super Smash Brothers. Yep. So are you a Mario, Luigi, or what are you, Toad?
I was Fox.
Fox.
Yeah, all day, every day.
I'm Toad.
Oh, yeah.
Toad.
Toad? Really?
Toad. I was a fan of Toad. He's like quiet, is in the corner, but I'll tell you, he can be mighty.
He's stealthy.
Yeah,
he's stealthy. He's the sleeper. He just hangs out in the corner. You don't got to worry about Toad. Right now, Elena, marketing director McLaren's just shaking her head. Yeah. Talk about medicine, guys. Right. We're like talking about Super Smash Brothers.
It's a great game.
It is a great game. It probably, and eye hand coordination for surgeries and stuff.
It's okay. Now she's gonna kill us. She'll be like, now you're comparing surgery to PlayStation. So
Newsweek. Talk about the Newsweek article. Talk about the Newsweek article. So when did you come to McLaren?
Actually, a decade ago.
Oh wow, 10 years.
It's been 10 years. It's been 10 years.
Wow.
It's been great.
Why stay 10 years?
It's in the thick and thin of it. We just started taking care of patients, developing pretty aggressive programs, managing things, taking care of things that were just not available here before. I think, like I said earlier, there are things that I do now that didn't exist when I was training. And there are a variety of procedures that we're doing here at McLaren Bay that were not offered previous.
For instance, the T-CAR stroke prevention procedure.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Fantastic. T-CAR stands for transcarotid artery revascularization. So in surgery, there's a lot of like mnemonics that particularly vascular, T-CAR, EVAR, FEVAR, BVAR, CHEVAR, all these kind of things, just because otherwise the medical terms are so long and extended and winded. But the T-CAR procedure is actually a newer procedure where you basically fix a blockage in your carotid artery. The carotid arteries are what supply your brain. If they get severely narrowed or if they get completely blocked, you can cause a stroke. And so before they get completely blocked, we want to fix them. And you can fix that usually with a stent. If you don't fix it the traditional way, which is by removing or cutting out all the disease. And so the T-CAR procedure is a newer procedure where through a small incision, usually at the base of the collarbone, you can get up into the carotid itself and open it up by placing a stent and deploying a stent in there. And patients do very well. And the risk of having a stroke is very, very, very low.
And you brought that to McLaren?
Yes. That procedure was not available before I got here. And now what we do, actually, I do the most in the state of Michigan. And it's a very well tolerated procedure. Now, not everybody qualifies for it. I think that's important. A lot of people also qualify for the traditional method, which is what's called an open carotid. And what's important to know, and I think especially for you and for the listeners and for whoever, is that one procedure is not necessarily better than the other. Because if one was better than the other, we'd be doing the better one all the time. Some are preferred in certain situations and certain anatomies, and others are preferred in others. And a vascular surgeon technically is able to tailor what procedure works best in what particular anatomy. So, because we can do them either open or endovascular or minimally invasive or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point, because if I go in for a procedure, I have an issue and we have to address it, I'm thinking in my head, I need the absolute best procedure for everyone. And I think your point is we need to pick the absolute best procedure for you. Absolutely. Because you're different than patient B from patient C, and we want to make sure we've got the best outcome. And that doesn't mean always this answer.
Absolutely correct. I think everyone's always, I want you to do what's better. And if, like I said, if one procedure was better than the other, that would be the only procedure we'd be doing.
We wouldn't even give you the option.
Of course.
We wouldn't even talk about other
exactly. Our goal is to take care of you with something durable and safe. But like I said, some procedures just work better in certain scenarios and others work better in other scenarios, all with the same equal appropriate outcomes, but the manner in which the procedure is done or which procedure is particularly offered can vary.
You said that you do the most T-CAR procedures in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, as a single operator.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many, take a wild guess, how many surgeries do you think you've done in 10 years?
So a T-CAR procedure, you mean like in surgeries in general? Oh, God, I don't know. Upwards of probably, 7,000, 8,000 maybe.
Why?
I would say that probably, but
that's a lot.
That's a lot of surgeries. It is a lot of surgeries. Yeah, it is a lot. That's a lot of surgeries.
What? I'm curious to ask you this, like from the perspective of surgeries as like a craft. So you're nearing 10 years, almost 10,000 surgeries. What have you learned? What do you love? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think a few things to state. I think as a surgeon, what I try to do the most is to try not to operate. And I think that's important.
Tell me what you mean.
Because I think a lot of the public and people say, hey, just because you're a surgeon, you want to do surgeries all the time. That's not exactly true. Actually, it's not true at all. We don't want to operate. Yeah. I don't want to operate on you unless I absolutely have to. So when we're making the decision that you need an operation, it's a shared decision that you and I discuss it. and agree that this is the best opportunity or best plan of action for you. But if we didn't have to do it, we're not doing it. Like I think that's important because a lot of times I think people like, oh my God, they just want to do another case. And that's not true. At least not for me.
Yeah. If I could just tell you, exercise and eat a little bit better, and that solves everybody's problem, that makes both of us happy.
Very happy. That makes us very, very happy. We avoid the risk of surgery, and then you and I get to hang out some more. We get to do different things.
Right.
Unfortunately, a lot of our problems, particularly in the Western world, require some bit more sort of operation.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we've been able to, figure those out at points such that the risks are very, 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 very low. And the procedure themselves or the outcomes are durable. I think that's important. You don't want to just do something and let it, work for a little bit of time. You want it to last, make it as durable as possible because you want to avoid having to redo an operation if at all possible. Yeah.
What do you love about what you do 10 years in?
Yeah, I think helping people. I think that's the number one thing. I'm here to be able to take care of people, like I said, in their greatest time of need. And it really, you develop a strong bond when you're able to manage patients, whether it's with an operation or not. And I don't take that lightly at all. I think it's very important, and we go in there very focused to be able to take care of that. And I really, it's a true privilege to be able to take care of them because it's a decision that you're allowing somebody else to be able to do what they need to do to make sure that you get better. And that's, like I said, that's not an easy decision. They tell you doctors are probably the worst patients. And so when you think, I always think about that. What happens if I was in that situation? What happens if I was in their place? And so I think it's important to be able to ask questions, be able to learn as much as possible. It's an educational conversation. And then ultimately at the end of it all, you come up with a decision that you think is going to be best for them.
When you said the word relationship, like developing this relationship with your patients, a man popped into my mind, a former patient of yours who I also interviewed out in Cawcolin, Dennis Robbins.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And Elena sent me out to Cawcolin to talk to Dennis, and I go walking into this like restaurant, and Dennis is a tall dude. Like he stands up from his table to shake my hand, and he's got this like long gray hair, and he's like this bear of a man, and he's shaking my hand, and we sit down and we talk. Do you mind if I read what he told me? Because I love this story. This is what Dennis tells me. We're sitting at this restaurant in Cawcolin. He says, 2 days before I was supposed to go to U of M for surgery, an aneurysm in my aorta burst. It's called a AAA. Yeah. When it bursts, not many people survive it, but all the helicopters were grounded and we wouldn't have made it to Ann Arbor in time. So they put me in an ambulance and started it for McLaren Bay region. They got me on the stretcher and everyone's doing all this talk and everything, and it was wild, and my mind went blank. It took us 2.5 hours to get from Standish, not Cawcolin, to Bay City because it was Sunday morning and everybody was coming back from being up north for the weekend. Most people with a burst aneurysm don't survive that long, and the ones that do are physically disabled. Typically, people survive 3 to 5 minutes with a burst aorta, and this guy's still trucking like 2.5 hours later. They sent me down with 7 units of blood. The human body only has 5 units, and I used 6. Dr. Mouawad was my surgeon, and he said things went really well. Thank the good Lord for him. His bedside manner was perfect, just a nice guy, very humble, very polite, and I want to tell him thank you. When I was a kid, I died. This is where things get crazy. I had a disease called immune thrombocytopenic purpura. Yeah. Did I say that right?
Purpura, yeah.
Yeah, purpura or ITP. It's got to do with having low platelets in the blood, and when I was 5, I contracted that. I started uncontrollably bleeding. We got to the hospital. They're cutting my pajamas off, all of that. And then I remember hearing them say, "Let's call it." I saw the doctor walking outside the room where my mother was waiting. It felt like I was floating behind him, and I could hear him saying, "Sorry, Mrs. Robbins, he's gone." And then I remember saying, "No, I'm not. I'm right here. I'm right here, Mom. No, I'm not." And they pronounced me dead. And then I woke up. So I thank the good Lord for Dr. Nick Mouawad, because this was the second time that I shouldn't be here. And you know what's amazing about that? Here's this giant of a man crying at this table in Standish. And I don't think Dennis will mind me saying this, but it was emotional, not just for him, but for me to see him like that, because here he was so close to death the second time, and he was so appreciative of you in that moment. And he was just like, please let Dr. Mouawad know. Please I want to tell him thank you. I want to tell him thank you.
Yeah, he's very kind, and I'm so glad that we're able to take care of him. It was a team effort. Everybody rallied. Fortunately, we're prepared for this. We've developed team and processes and systems for this, because you're right, time is absolutely of the essence. Just as Dennis had said, 50% of the people die immediately. And
Wild.
of the other 50%, only 50% of those even make it to the hospital in time. And so really everything was not in his favor. But I remember that day, and I remember Dennis, and I've seen him several times in clinic after that.
Have you?
Like I said, yeah.
Awesome.
And he's very kind, and I appreciate his words.
Yeah. Dennis, if you're watching this, we're glad you're still around, dude. You're awesome.
We're very glad.
Very glad. Can we talk about family stuff?
Sure.
You just got married-ish?
Yeah.
When did you get married?
I got married in 2022.
2022.
Yeah.
I found out you got married by watching your wedding video, and I was like, oh my goodness, this looks like a party. How'd you meet your wife?
So my wife and I had met many years in the past through some mutual friends, and then we each kind of had our own lives, and then we got back in touch a few years ago, and we decided to tie the knot. And she's amazing. She's
Awesome.
wonderful. Yeah.
Where'd you guys get married?
We got married actually in Beirut. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got married.
Is she from there?
Yes, she's from there,
Okay.
and I'm originally from there as well. And so we ended up going back there to celebrate closer to family and all that. And it was a fantastic time.
Are weddings different over there than they are here?
I think I would say so. I think so. It's a pretty big party. They usually tend to be much larger, several hundred people, if not more. And so I think that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And it was challenging for us because it was during the middle of COVID. And so,
Oh, yeah.
that was a little bit difficult with travel and trying to arrange things back and forth.
Yeah.
But it worked out well, and I'm proud to say that nobody from the wedding that attended or the wedding party got COVID.
Yeah.
So we were pretty happy.
That's how you
about
do
that.
it, people.
But she's amazing.
And then last year,
Last year,
you became a
I became a dad.
What
Yeah.
was that like?
I was I talk about something that really changes your life or your perspective completely. That was, after even being involved in medicine and seeing the things that you do, that was completely a life-changing thing for me. So it's been great. I have a little son, and we have a little son, and it's so much fun.
What's
And
your son's name?
his name is John.
John?
He goes by JC. Yeah.
Awesome.
Jason.
John.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, sometimes you hear dads say, I saw my kids and I immediately my life was different. And I don't even remember processing that moment in that way. Like with our first daughter, Evelyn, like all of a sudden this life is in the world and you're like, oh wait, like I'm responsible for this. And then there's 1,000 things like I gotta take care of my wife and I gotta take care of
You're
her.
100% responsible for them. They're 100% dependent on you, which is an interesting perspective again as a dad.
Yeah, you don't get to just take a time out from being a dad for a couple of days. Like, I need a vacation. Like, just handle JC, and I'm gonna be in the back room or something.
Yeah, no.
I'll talk to you on Thursday.
That luxury. A lot of times they tell as a physician, you're like, well, you know what? Oh yeah, you're used to being up all night. You're used to being able to dealing with stress. You're used to being able to deal. It's totally different. It really is totally different. I don't think anything prepares you for it.
No.
Until you're actually in it.
The only real piece of advice I got that I remember before we had Evelyn, I was talking to Jen Karras from Amigo Mobility. Jen, you're awesome. I'm talking to her on the phone and she's, Phil, I'm going to tell you the only piece of advice that I really remember getting. And I said, I'm all ears because I have no idea what I'm doing. And she said, the best thing about being a parent is that you get to decide what kind of parent you want to be. And I love that piece of advice.
That's great.
Because it was sometimes the advice is you should do X, Y, and Z, and you should do this and this and this. And if you give your kids chicken nuggets, you're going to screw them up for the rest of their life, like all of those things. And it's like very burdening.
Right.
Like already you're freaking out. And like now you have all this pressure coming from all over the place. But when she said that to me, it was very empowering because she said, will you love your family? I said, absolutely. She said, there you go. Now go be the parent that you want to be. And I was like, yeah, I can be the dad I want to be. So I love that. What have you learned about parenting, or what has JC taught you, or what's
I think, like similar to what you said, there's really no formula.
Yeah.
And I think you keep worrying, what if I do this and something bad's going to happen if I don't do something else or whatever. And you worry about that. And I think really there just is no formula. You got to do what works for you. And when I say you, as in you and your family. Yeah. And I think everybody's a little bit different. Some people may want to spend more time outside or inside or eat ice cream or whatever it may be. There's always something that makes you feel, I think you put it very well, Willie. There's like a lot of burden. You feel like, oh my God, I'm going to do something wrong. Yeah. And how can I mess this up?
I remember driving home from the hospital with my wife and Evelyn in the car, going like 3 miles an hour. I threw those hazard lights on. I'm driving like 3 miles and I don't care if you're honking at me. I got a baby and I got a wife in the car. Right. So you're gonna wait 45 minutes. I
think that's true. I think we all are like that way in the beginning because it's unknown. At least it's uncharted. It's unknown. You're really not sure, and obviously the risk is too high. You're not willing to take any risks whatsoever. I think we were similar. I think we were probably going 1 mile per hour. I think.
That makes me feel better. So let's go from tips for being a dad. What does it take to be a good surgeon? Like if I'm somebody, let's say that I'm a mentee of yours, like what would you tell me to set me on the right path? What are the elements to being a good surgeon?
Yeah, there are so many things. I think being a good surgeon, I think also emanates from your particular character. You want to have the highest level of integrity. You want to have the highest level of honesty. I think that's important. You got to really place your patient and their care above your personal needs. And, I want to say a shout out to my wife and my family, because I spend a lot of time at the hospital and they take the brunt of that, because I want to take care of people. And sometimes that means that's less time that I spend with them. And so that's something that I really cherish them for, and for understanding. And I think that's important. Of course, you need to know your material. You need to know what to do and what not to do. I think that goes without saying. Right. But more importantly, I think based on your particular character, I think it's important. Study hard, be available. They tell you the 3 A's: be affable, be able, and be available.
And just be a good human.
I think that's important. I think whether or not you're a surgeon or not, I think for us in our community, particularly our small knit community like we have over here, there's no place for hate and all that. I think just be a good person. We're all here to be able to enjoy life, be able to enjoy each other, and be able to take care of each other. We're all sharing the same resources, so why not be able to enjoy it all together?
Now tell me top 3 tips to hopefully prevent me from ever seeing you inside an operating room.
I tell everybody it's always an honor to be able to take care of people. But I always tell them, but it's in the nicest way. You don't want to see me.
Yeah, because I would love to see you again. I just don't want to be laying on the table.
Right. If you're seeing me, that means there are some things that need to be taken care of. Yeah. And like I said earlier, there are high risk. Obviously, what goes without saying is you want to be as healthy as possible. So eat good, exercise, and avoid smoking. Vascular disease is 100% related to smoking. The more smoking you do, or the more smoking you do, the more you smoke. How about that? Makes more sense. The more the arteries get diseased and can have blockages and narrowings. Again, depending on what vascular bed you're dealing with, whether it's the neck or the arm or the leg or the belly or the heart, so you have certain consequences like stroke and gangrene and aneurysms and heart attacks and all that kind of stuff. So that's number 1. Number 2, enjoy things with moderation. I think that's important. I'm going to give you 4 because I think it's important. 3, get your screening. I think that's important. I think we're so used to over here in the Western world to be very reactive. Oh my God, I have pain. Let me go figure it out.
Yeah. I have a heart attack. Yeah, that means I have to go to the doctor now.
Exactly. It's like when you can, a lot of these things can be managed up front. And I think that's important to remember. And then go get your checkups. What does it take? Go see your primary care doctor. They're available. You see them, once a year. You get whatever tests that you need to get done. That at least helps you get on top of whatever problems may occur.
I love your point about the link between smoking and vascular disease, because I think that's something like a risk that we're not necessarily conscious of if we're smoking. We're thinking like lung disease, but we don't necessarily think about how it affects other parts of the body too. And then you wake up one day and I've got some vascular issues, and I didn't even expect that.
And then it doesn't come suddenly. It's over years and years and years that it occurs. And it is what it is. It's one of those things that it is an absolute association between more smoking and more vascular disease. And that can be very challenging for people.
When this is a little bit of a circle back. You're here 10 years at McLaren. What is it about the culture there that has made you stay? Because I'm thinking like medical medicine, like it's intense and stressed out, and people are angry at each other, and you just go like rotating hospitals every 2 years because you can't stand the people around you. But you're the second really world class physician at McLaren who's I've been here for a decade plus and I love it. What is it that you love?
I think we have a great culture. I think the people that work there are committed to the community. I think they're committed to the patients that we serve. We have a large, what's called catchment area. We have a lot of people that come from far areas, the Thumb, up north, even from the west side and so forth that come there. And I think we can promise you a dedicated, committed, educated, proficient, efficient team of people that want to manage your care. And I think the days of, oh my God, we have to go to these large ivory tower places, far away land that came in, that's not true. We offer state-of-the-art care with state-of-the-art outcomes locally. And you don't need to travel so far, even for some of the complicated stuff. And some things, if they are too complicated, you should trust in your healthcare provider to say, hey, look, this thing is maybe too complicated for this particular facility, and we'll get you where you need to be. And there are always those type of operations sometimes that require resources that the local facility may or may not have or may not be able to manage. So for instance, let's say transplant surgery or whatever. You can't have 15,000 transplant centers. It doesn't work. There's not that many organs. Those are relegated to different areas. But a lot of the stuff that's even complicated, we do in McLaren.
I love that. I want to speak to kind of the culture and the folks that I met right after I walked out of your OR, because I was so taken by that experience. I went home and I wrote a little piece about my experience there. Now I won't read the whole thing, but I want to read the kind of the last part, if you'll humor me.
Oh, yeah.
Just for a moment. Let me pull it up here. So I go walking out of your OR, and I go from your OR to another one. I think it was like orthoscopic surgery. I think they were working on a knee or a hip or something like that. And just OR to OR, and I'm meeting all these people. And I continue. Outside of surgery, I interview nurses and doctors who say, I just want to help people, and start to cry as they recall a special patient, someone they wanted to help but couldn't, or because they have sacrificed nearly everything to care for others over the last 24 months. I interview patients who say they gave me my life back, and start to cry because of what their life was like before, or because they didn't even think their life was worth saving. It's not made for TV drama. This is real people, real lives, and our neighbors. Our neighbors who, hidden by the four walls of a hospital, punch into work to give daughters back to their fathers and mothers back to their sons, to give grandparents a few extra years with their grandkids, to save an addict who wanted to die and then show her why she shouldn't. Seeing it up close, it's nearly unbelievable. People exist on this earth who can heal a body of blood and bones with scalpels and stitches. That a person who orders takeout from our restaurants, sits next to us at church, or buys us a drink at the bar can open up a human body, look inside, and fix it. These healthcare workers, from surgeons to surgical techs, to nurses to respiratory therapists, to OTs and PTs to janitors cleaning the rooms, are heroes. Yes, heroes because of the last 2 years, but also because of today, tomorrow, and a year from now. These photos and the photos that will follow show their everyday lives, their everyday heroism. They are our frontline workers, yes, but more often, they are our last line of hope. When cancer grows in our lungs, when a piece of our heart dies, when someone drinks too much and gets behind the wheel, when all we want is another week, year, or decade with our families, to see our kids grow up, to feel love, to experience life, hidden within the four walls of a hospital, our neighbors are our hope and our heroes. And that's what I love about you and all the folks that I've met at McLaren is that direct tie to the community. It just really boggled my mind when I left the hospital that here are these people doing this work every single day. day in, day out, they just punch in, save a bunch of people's lives, and then they go home. And then they order takeout, or they get some tacos, or you drink too much with them at the bar. And then they go in, and then they do the same thing over and over again. And I just want to say, I want to take this opportunity to tell you to your face what an incredible blessing you are. You're an incredible blessing. Hopefully, not to me in a direct operative capacity, but you're a blessing to all the thousands of people that you've helped. You're a blessing to this community. You're a blessing to McLaren, and I just want to thank you.
Thank you, Phil. And I wanna say thank you to our community and to the patients and the people that live here for trusting me, trusting us with your care. That's a decision that I don't take lightly at all. And it's a difficult decision sometimes. And when you're not sure, when you're going and you're entering some uncharted waters, you don't know because you're not the physician or you're not the healthcare team, but we are. So I thank you for saying that. It really is an honor to be able to take care of our community, but really the thanks goes to them for allowing us to take care of them in their time of need.
Nick Mouawad, McLaren Bay Region, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. You're awesome.
Thanks so much, Phil. I appreciate it.
Dude, you're so cool. And you're
Thank you.
good at what you do.
Thank you, Phil.